In spite of everything, did you eat? In spite of feeling the need to restrict, did you eat? In spite of feeling like you don't deserve to eat, did you eat? In spite of feeling panicked around food, did you eat? In spite of feeling unable to eat, did you eat? In spite of knowing your eating disorder would rather you be alone, did you engage with others? In spite of feeling paralyzed to make a decision, did you make one wisely? In spite of the urge to weigh yourself, did you refrain from doing so? In spite of the urge to count calories, did you throw away the container or wrapper without looking? In spite of feeling shame, did you eat? In spite of feeling disgust, did you eat? In spite of feeling confused, did you eat? In spite of feeling worthless, did you eat? In spite of feeling impulsive, did you make wise choices? In spite of feeling destructive, did you refrain from hurting yourself? In spite of feeling hopeless, did you take care of yourself in some way? In spite of having done a behavior, were you able to be gentle with yourself? Were you able not to judge yourself? In spite of feeling triggered, reminded, tempted, did you eat wisely? In spite of feeling detached from food, did you eat? In spite of feeling like you need to control your food, did you eat? In spite of feeling like everything in your life is going downhill and you can't imagine how you'd pick up the pieces, did you eat? In spite of everything, did you fulfill your most basic need? In spite of everything, did you consider it your job to nourish yourself? In spite of everything, did you put the second guessing on pause and do it anyway? Did you listen to your logically healthy self? Did you honor your body's basic needs? Did you have to tell yourself over and over, this sucks, but that's not a reason to engage in a behavior. It's not a reason to be destructive. If you've answered yes to any of these questions so far, you should be tremendously proud of yourself. I'm proud of you. When your head and even your body are screaming at you to bring it closer to surrender, did you do the opposite of that anyway? With no rhyme or reason, you just did. Just because dying is not an option. Just because the eating disorder behaviors are simply not an option. And because you know a very big and mandatory part of recovery is the fight. And so you know, by virtue of the level of resistance and difficulty you're experiencing, you're doing the right thing. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Facing it, challenging it, brings it on stronger. But you know your armor is nourishment. And that's it. You don't need to justify that. You're sick. Food is your medicine. You're feeling entrenched in your eating disorder? By that very fact, food is your medicine. Food is the medicine that will lead to the thoughts and urges decreasing. You don't want to eat, you don't think you need to do it, you can't stand the thought of eating? Exactly. Exactly. Eat. Eat no matter what. And if that means you need to change your environment, do it. If you have to, for the time being, get your nutrients in with a supplement like Ensure or something like that, whether it's a food that is condensed or a drink that has all the nutrients you need for right now, and it's under a therapist or dietitian's care, do it. Get in your nutrients. Get nourishment. It is your lifeline, and you deserve to live. Of course, you want to work to being able to getting them in with food regularly and not just having the condensed kinds of meals. But if that's what you need right now, that's okay. So food is your lifeline, and you deserve to live. Your eating disorder will progress until you die. That is the nature of the illness. But it is an illness, and it does not make you who you are. You know you need to live. You know you ought to live. You have to live. You have to give yourself that strength, that the option of living. And then you can work on why you're scared, or why you're feeling hopeless, or why you feel unable to manage. But you can only truly work on these core issues when you've ruled out the eating disorder as a piece of what's contributing to them. Then they become enmeshed. So what's coming from the eating disorder and what's coming from you may not be clear if you're entrenched in it. And what's coming from you is a piece of what has contributed to the eating disorder. So in order to have the opportunity to really work on yourself, you need to work on the eating disorder, because you deserve that chance. So in spite of everything inside of you that is screaming obscenities of shame, disregard, unworthiness, indifference, destructiveness, toxicity, horror, nourish yourself wisely. Feelings will most likely come up. In spite of those feelings, continue to nourish yourself wisely and refrain from punishing yourself, because you'll only see results of that if you repeatedly nourish yourself. Even more so, use these feelings in therapy to work on the core of you. Regard them as invaluable opportunities. The more intense the feeling, the more invaluable the opportunity to work through it. You can do this. A part of you somewhere inside understands this. A bigger part of you knows it logically and maybe cannot connect to it. It doesn't matter which part you listen to, but honor it. Either the part that knows it logically or the part that you can access that, really believes it. Either way, whatever you need to do to tap into that, honor it. Honor that part that wants the best for yourself. Let it determine what you do, what choices you make, no matter what, and whatever that means. That could even mean being in a more structured environment on some level. Whatever it takes, you deserve that. And you're going to need it to be able to work on other things. So you really can do this. I've done it, and I continue to do it. And recently I went through a couple weeks of struggling, and I felt that on high. I felt that the alarms going off, and this is how I got through it. By shutting away those voices, and you can't really pretend they're not there, but for the moment's sake, what helped me was just to say, it's my job to nourish myself. It is my job. And no, I don't have to justify that. I don't owe the eating disorder any explanation. It's simply my job to nourish myself. End of sentence, end of story. And it's your job to nourish yourself because you deserve it. And hopefully in time you can really work on knowing why you deserve it and knowing that you're worthy of that chance. So take care, everyone, and talk to you soon.